Hey everybody, this is Dave here at Pulp, and I want to show you a couple box sets of plastic skeletons, kind of compare them a little bit and see which one we like better. If I'm going to order more, which one of these do I really want to keep? Let's take a look at them now. What we're talking about here is the classic fantasy Skeleton Warriors by War Games Atlantic. Very cool. And of course, the Oathmark Skeleton Infantry. This is by North Star Military Figures. Now, I think both of them are pretty good. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them, but let's kind of compare them and take a look at that. If we look at just the math as far as price, well, the War Games Atlantic has the North Star figures beat just by a little bit. Probably not enough to matter, but this one comes in at around $35. This one's about $2.50 more at around $37.50. And of course, your prices may vary. But so not a big difference between the two as far as the price, $2.50. And then, of course, the War Games Atlantic box set also includes two more skeletons, though. So, in the long run, I guess if it was based purely on the pocketbook, then I guess the War Games Atlantic would be the pick. But, right, it's a relatively small margin, so we're going to look into it a little bit further than that. So when we're looking at scale and we're comparing the two, I think one of the problems that I have is that I already put together the War Games Atlantic miniatures, and I haven't done the Oathmark yet. But comparing the two, it looks like the relative height of the miniatures is really, really going to be very, very close. If I had anything to say about it, I would say that the Oathmark feel maybe a little bit slimmer. Maybe that's because I don't have the arms glued on yet. But definitely one obvious difference is the size of the heads. And I'm going to see if I can get this on camera. So some folks have said, pretty obviously the the War Games Atlantic stuff just has big heads. The closer I get it to the camera, it's going to look even bigger. But there's the War Games Atlantic. You can tell these are really good quality. And I think both of these sets have really, really good quality. Now, here's the size of the Oathmark. Now, let's see if I can get them where they're sitting together. I don't know if I can do that. But you could see, right? You could see that the War Games Atlantic heads are quite a bit bigger than the Oathmark skeleton heads. There, you can see there's quite a bit of a difference. So it's very interesting. Now the War Games Atlantic stuff has kind of a Greek feel. Just my impression of it. Kind of has a Greek feel to it, as far as the helmets and the shields and stuff like that. And, if I had to guess, I would say that the Oathmark stuff had maybe more of like a Celtic feel. There's one of the helmets there that has more of a Eastern influence sort of look, and then some kind of Celtic looking styles as well. So very interesting, very interesting. And then the same way with the shields, I thought overall, as comparing the shields to each other, I felt like the shields for the Oathmark miniatures were a little bit nicer. But here's where it starts to get quite a bit different between these two. Now, if I was going to build a unit of archers, I'm only going to have 8. I'm only going to have enough archers, bows, to make 8 figures out of this set. There's one bow on each one of these sprues. There's 8 different sprues there. So that's not going to help me a lot as making a big unit of archers. It's mainly geared towards making large units of spears. It also doesn't have very many swords in it. So if you want to make a group with a lot of swords, you're just not going to have a lot of swords. You're going to have, I think it's only one sword per sprue. So again, there's only 8. There's not a lot of extra heads as well. I didn't put all of mine together just so I could keep some of the extra heads because I didn't really need to put all of them together. Um, and compared to the Oathmark stuff, you really have complete sets here on every single sprue. So if we look at this sprue here, where you have 4 swords down here, plus you have another sword over here as well. So as far as just doing hand weapon characters or models, you definitely have enough swords. You have 4 swords and a couple axes. You don't really have any axes on the War Games Atlantic sprue. As far as banners, both of them come with a standard bearer. If you're really, really hard pressed for a musician, then you could get one with the War Games Atlantic because it comes with a horn blower. Now, I found no reason to do a musician, so that just means there's 8 horns here that aren't going to get used. If you're doing the Oathmark stuff, though, I want to show you this because I think it's pretty cool. Of course, you have the 5 bodies here. You have the 5 bodies that you don't even have to put together. One of the War Games Atlantic bodies you have to actually put together. It just comes with a torso and legs and arms, and you got to glue everything together. So that's kind of a pain in the butt, just to be honest with you. I like that these bodies are already come together. Now, the cool thing about getting the bodies separate is that you can make little silly models like this here because you have to glue it together. Here's a little one that's sitting down. Here's another one that I made that was sitting down, possibly just some corpse lying in the corner of a dungeon or something. Here's one that I made that was lying down. So with the War Games Atlantic set, you can actually do that. You have those odd little pieces that if you wanted to do something goofy with them, you could do that with. And the Oathmark stuff doesn't really have that, which I don't really mind though. Okay, so you got the five bodies. Uh, then you get into the shields there, and look at that. You have 5 shields, and there are the 5 arms that you put on those shields. So those are really nice looking. They're all different shields. None of them are the same, unlike the War Games Atlantic stuff again. Now, if you wanted to do a group of archers, then you could just do a group of archers because right there you have 5 different bows. Right there you have it. And all of the left hands right there can be used, all of the right hands. So you have the hands that have either the arrows in their hand or just kind of cocked back. Very nice. Then you have 11 different heads. So it gives you a lot of different options. You don't really have that sort of options with the War Games Atlantic set. And a nice group of spears. So if you want to do a group of all spears, there you have it. You have all of them. You can have all of them with spears. This little piece here is for the standard bearer if you want to make a standard bearer. It also has kind of a nice little fancy spear down here if you want to make somebody that's kind of a character looking model or something like that. So with the War Games Atlantic, you're a little bit limited as far as what your options are. If you wanted to do a bunch of archers, if you wanted to do a bunch of swords, then you're going to be hard pressed to do that unless you buy multiple boxes. And then you're still going to end up with scads and scads of spearmen because that's all the extra weapons that you have. With the Oathmark stuff, you can actually make the units that you want. So if you wanted to make off of each sprue, if you wanted to make them all archers, you could do that. If you wanted to make 30 archers out of the box, you could do that. If you wanted to make 30 of them with hand weapons, basic weapons, you could do that. If you wanted to make 30 of them with spears, you could do that. So it's got the stuff on there to really help you make what you want to make out of the box. Does that make sense? So overall, I think both of them are well worth the money, and I am very happy with the War Games Atlantic stuff that I have. I don't know, do I really need another box of skeletons? The difference between the size of the heads, I don't know. I don't know if it's big enough to matter, but it's definitely big enough. I feel like it's big enough to be noticeable. And that's a question right there, isn't it? Like, do you want the big heads or not? The big heads almost give them a bit more of a cartoonish look, but it also gives them more character. It really stands out. And I'm wondering, when I do the Oathmark skeletons, are the heads going to just be not have enough detail to them? So the part about making the heads a little bit bigger is you can give them a little bit more detail and have a little bit more fun with it. So it'll be interesting to see. So I'm wondering if you guys have tried these two box sets, and what do you think about them? Uh, Comparing the two right now and looking at them, I think overall I'm leaning towards the Oathmark. I think it might lean a little bit more towards what I would like. Nothing wrong at all with the classic fantasy Skeleton Warriors by War Games Atlantic, but I guess if I had my druthers, I think I might go with the Oathmark stuff. Now, that might change, I suppose, if I get them glued together and then I'm not happy with them. But everything right now kind of suggests that maybe they're just a little bit of a nudge up on the War Games Atlantic miniatures. I'm interested to see how these look once they get painted up. What do you guys think? Just based on what we've talked about, and if you have one or both of these box set, I'd love to see some comments about that. Also, please take a moment and get subscribed to our little channel. Hit that like button and hit that bell so you get a notification when we upload a new video. That is all for tonight. Let me know what you think about this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.